Good morning, everyone. Up at camp again today to do some more tile work. So, got that half done. Doing this half today. And then hopefully we'll be back up again tomorrow to do the grout. It's the plan at least. So, wish me well. I'm hoping this will go pretty quick because all I need to do is like straight cuts through here. So get those cut, top, bottom, going across, easy peasy. I don't have any of the weird window stuff here to cut out, so that should save me some time, hopefully. But enough talking, let's get to work and get it done. There's the Vever wet saw. Again, working like a champ so far. But this table, man, it's so easy. Just move it over, set it up. We're good to go. I mean, it's great. It has storage for clamps, for whatever you're using, different spots to hook those in. It just makes things really easy. Take it out of the box, plop her down, which is good. Time to fill up the water bucket and get to cutting some tile. Let's do this. Alright, so again, just making the square on the bottom, taking off this little edge, if you will. It's not the nicest guide, but she works. So what I'm gonna do is just move it over to where I want it, which is right there. Always double check just to make sure. I know the numbers are listed on here, if you can see them, but why not just double check, make sure. Down, going down. I always do that prior to plugging it in. I don't like not being totally focused on the blade if it's plugged in. So if I know for a fact that I'm not going to be focused on it, it's unplugged. If my fingers ever go near the blade, which I also try not to do, you'll see me with like a pen or scissors or whatever I've got that can get in between there. So if I need to do that, that's what I'm using, but I'm still trying to unplug it as much as possible if I'm going to be near the blade. But I'm getting ready to cut. Obviously need to plug it in. So we'll throw that on, push that down, make sure I've got these set up right. So we're doing top row, bottom row, so we're going to cut here, and let's get to cutting. So you'll notice I try to get this as flat to this as possible on this piece, this last full piece. And I did that obviously on purpose so that and make it easier for transition. So what I did here, of course, is I had a couple pieces extra from other strips that had been cut, and I was able to fill in with like a little bit that was left. Just to make it easier to start off with versus trying to do a full sheet and like cut out a small portion of it. So let's see how well I did. Once that goes in, that will go in nicely, and then we'll just get in some half squares to go up. But I think we're in a good spot. All right, so as you saw before, I was going to do a full sheet against here. However, with just the little tiny pieces in here, I'm thinking that might not be the best idea. So what I've decided to do instead is take another sheet that I had cut off originally and use that as my starting point. to go in. So I think that will actually be a little bit cleaner. And then what I can do is once we put these pieces in, we'll be ready to, take these ones out so they'll fit in perfectly. The idea again here is if I have that piece, that's the old one. I think I wanted to do that there. Do a whole piece here. And then we'd be golden. Right? So we have that. This piece goes up. Let me put one in here to mirror that because it just fell off. Maybe I'll take this one. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll take this one off, put it there, and then we will be changing my mind again, I think, because of the outlet being right there. I really don't want the piece not to have any mesh there, because that's just going to fall off, I think. So I think what I'll do is take the pieces from here, what I cut, and just put them in. And again, we'll keep it as one sheet. Alright, so I think the name of the game here is not to have a bunch of loose pieces. So we take those, put them in, take this one off. Now we've got our pattern that we want with the piece here, and then we can continue on as a full sheet going around the outlet instead, and that will give me some more area to play with, I think. I think that's the way to do it. All right, so again, what I'm gonna do, I've got a full sheet, ends about here. That way when I go around the outlet, I'll be cutting into a full sheet of tile versus having like, half of a piece here that's just kind of stuck in. I feel like it's gonna stay better. So I've picked up some extra tile sheets today anyways. I just think it's gonna function and look and be more stable. So we'll see if that's the case or not. But hey, so again, as I did in the last video, I'm gonna go ahead and map out where everything fits here. So again, we'll cut off the bottoms here, and then when we get to here, I don't really have to cut the bottoms off because it's just gonna go straight across. And then if it goes down below, I don't really mind it going below because you're not gonna see here anyways because the stove top comes above. But the nice thing is if we do that, if we ever go with, we've got the ability to do an electric stove in the future, but if we do like one of those gas ones where it's flat, again, it will go underneath just slightly so you can't see that edge, which I think will actually look nicer anyways. All right, so I got my next two pieces cut. So again, a full panel to the bottom cut here. This will be where the outlet goes. And then it just so happens that this piece right here is almost exactly two, it is exactly two pieces wide. So the pieces that aren't cut, I don't need to cut. So it works out pretty well actually. So we're good there. Let's go ahead and get the outlet mapped out so we can do that. And then we'll worry about going forward there. All right, so I'm gonna go from the edge here at 15 16.5. So we're gonna mark 15, 16.5. Up, we're looking at 7 3/4 and 10 3/4. 7 3/4. So for the outlets, got everything marked front and back. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my angle grinder. Has a diamond blade specifically for this, and I did the continuous one. Just I figured it would cut better. They said that it cuts smoother for tile. So far, it's been cutting pretty well, so I think that's a positive. But let's go ahead and get this cut now. There we go. Easy peasy. Cut off. And again, I cut it kind of short. They're small because it's just the size of the outlet. I'm going to notch out a little bit here for the screws. And that way I've got plenty of meat here to cover for the wall plate so you can't see any of the cut marks. You also notice how I have scrap pieces of wood here to protect my table. This is just some old shims for the doors that we didn't use, so it's always good to put stuff like this that you don't mind getting cut up, obviously, down so you don't damage anything that you don't quick damage. All right, so I now have these sheets cut. So this is, again, a full sheet here to here and then here. And you'll see again, as I said, we don't need to cut the bottoms of this off because again, the stove's going to cover up to here anyways. And if we were to do a flat top, it'll be nice because it will just go across here and you won't see any cut in the tile. So what I need to do now though is make sure that we are going to the right spots for our next sheets. So what I want to do make sure that we're level. I'm going to do something like this. I know that's really that line, but I'm going to take a level, go up, make sure that we're spot on, and then continue over. So I brought my big level home already. I'm trying to get as many tools out of here as I can as possible. Just so I'm not moving things to have to move them again. So, I mean, I could probably make this work, but I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap lumber. I know that's straight. Put this on the side. Match it up here on the bottom, and then just make sure that we are flush, level. So again, that's our break for that panel right here. So if I bring this as it is, we know it will be like this. And just to make sure I'm not messing stuff up, I'm gonna go like that. All right, so now have that piece in. I take this piece, line those up. This on. We're good there. All right, and now I know I need to cut just one piece there. Again, make sure. Give it some room. Grout. All right, so now that I've got this piece cut, which is our edge band, I know I can figure out what I need to do on this last piece. So we're gonna put it roughly where it will be. Make sure, again, that we're level on this as well. All right. So, the last one, I'm pretty much just gonna cut this piece off. All right, so I did this side of the tile a little bit different than this side. This side I just kind of went through, put it up on the wall, and just continued and hoped it was close enough, which got me in a little bit of trouble on the window here. It's a little tighter than I would have hoped, but the lines were like super straight, so I just figured leave it alone. We'll make it a little tighter. You won't be able to tell with the grout. On this side, however, I'm mapping it out and actually drawing it on the wall, which feels so wrong, especially with a 5 and 3-year-old at home, to say, don't draw on the wall and then do it. But as my mother always said, do as I say, not as I do. So let me show you what I did. So here's the map out pieces. I wanted to figure out how many sheets I needed for above, but as you can tell, especially with the microwave, there's a difference in height here, and then also a difference from just under the cabinet on this side versus this side by about 1/4 of an inch, just because, again, we're in an old foundation and the floors aren't super level. So what I decided to do is actually map out where each of those pieces are. So I've got all of my lower sheets already mapped out. I'm gotta still obviously do the outlet for that one. But I now know how many pieces I have for the tops up here. And then I can measure from this line to this line and make sure I've got the correct amounts for each. And again, with stuff like here, where this sheet is gonna be you know, here and then so forth, I'm gonna need to know where to cut this line and tile up here and then go down. So again, just a little bit easier to get that situated, I think. Now, if you're anything like me, you like to visualize things first. You know, it's helpful to see the full plan, what's going to be going on. And so I think, you know, putting the pieces on the wall here, again, are going to be helpful. But when you get to these top sheets, I can't get a full sheet in there to actually see it, to measure it. So, because I always keep things until I don't need them 100%, I've got these pieces of tile that were from the other side here where I had to cut them off. But I can go up and I can map out underneath here roughly what I'm going to need, and then transfer that over to a large sheet, and then I'll know exactly what I need. So kind of glad I cut those so I can really see where everything is going to be once it's on the wall. All right, so you got no idea what I just talked about, right? So again, all I'm going to do is just measure or take where my lines are that I drew on here, and then just make sure I've got it. So like underneath the microwave, I now know that on here I can just cut in here and I'll have these pieces, and I don't need to do anything else besides that. It's just going to be done that way. It'll be nice and clean, a lot easier than I thought. Where I will get into a potential issue, of course, though, is going to be here. I'll need to look, and even then it's not going to be that bad, because by the time I go in, I'll know that I need to cut this piece down however much, and again I'll have to move it up, but this way I can map it out a little bit better. So let's go ahead and actually get it on to a full sheet of what I'll need to be cutting. So again, we'll just need to cut across here, go up and over for those 1.5 pieces. See how well we did on our cuts. Put them up, line them up. I think this up, so we're good. Alright, so we're there. I'm going to cut this for the next side. She looks good. That. And then on up there. Time for some mud. All right, everyone. Got it all done today as far as just putting the tile on the walls. Obviously still need to grout the tile, but I wanted to get this done so I can come up after work probably and grout, get that done, and then we'll be done for tile. Still got to paint a few spots, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and get cleaned up here. But I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.